and yes, Pisces, and yes, Pisces, and yes, Pisces.
Hey you guys, it's Pisces and I'm so happy to be back doing another video. So I know it's been a while since I've been doing, well, you know what, you guys, I always tell you guys that I work on videos. I work on videos all the time, like I do, but I just don't publish them because I kind of like to go according to the vibe, and then I like to also babysit my videos too. So I didn't have time to do that. So you guys should check back with my channel. I think I'm going to be free the rest of this week, and then also next week. I will have time to do my videos because I recently finished a project that I was working on outside of YouTube, and I'm so happy. So now I can really like dedicate my time to my videos like I want to. So before I put up the other videos, which are interesting to say the least, I want to address the question that I've been getting almost since the first day that I started my platform here on YouTube. And interestingly enough, this question I only get from the niggas. I never get it from white people. So I'm going to be addressing that question, okay? So the question is, Pisces, what type of magic do you practice? Pisces, what kind of witch are you? And so I never really directly answered this question because I thought it was obvious, because I would put black magic in almost all of my video titles. I would put black magic in my description box. I would put it in my about me section. I would talk about practicing black magic. So I really didn't understand where this question was coming from uh, until I realized something. I'm going to go into what that is in just a moment. But the thing about it is, I've had some witches over the year, black witches. It's always black witches. Um, Black witches over the years be hateful, hateful of me, and rightfully so, bitch, because you wouldn't be normal if you wasn't hating on me. I'm talking about for you motherfuckers that got platforms here on YouTube. So you are doing exactly what you're supposed to do when you hate on me, okay? So I get it. And that's another thing too. A good portion of my viewers on YouTube are other witches who have platforms here. Like, you bitches just don't think that I see you bitches. I'm a witch. I can see you bitches coming to my channel. And a lot of you bold ass, shameless motherfuckers even regurgitate the same things that I say in my videos. Like shamelessly. All right? And I'm like, okay, if you bitches are going to be dick riding my shit, don't just ride my dick, bitch, suck it too. Okay? Don't just ride the dick, bitch, suck it too. Give a bitch some credit. So, anyways, and I done told you bitches so many times that I'm not here for your punk ass motherfucking ass clients, your sheeple ass clients. I'm not here for them motherfuckers. I'm not trying to get business from YouTube. So I am just like, yo, cool it, okay? But I understand though, and that's another thing too. You cannot keep up with me. My mind is too motherfucking vast. I can take one subject and break that shit up into 5 million pieces. I will tap dance circles around you bitches in ice skates. Do you understand me? Okay? Don't try me. You can try these other witches on here, but don't try. I don't give a fuck about none of these other witches. You don't try me. Not a Pisces. Because I know some of you bitches and said, oh, Pisces is the weakest of 3 water signs. Well, I'm gonna prove your point, bitch. I'm gonna prove your point. Okay, I'm gonna give you some weak shit. Try to keep up, bitch. Because let me tell you something. A lot of the shit that you bitches are teaching today, I taught that shit 11 years ago. Curfew was 11 years ago, bitch. You're late. Now, let me get into this video. So I realized that the niggas that was asking me this question, because of course, like I said, if I was a white witch and I said that I practice black magic, none of you niggas would be asking her that question. Because, if I say that I'm a black woman and I practice magic, for the niggas, I must be a hoodooist, right? Wrong, niggas. Not in my case. My channel is different. Its purpose is different. My content is different from all of the other witches here on YouTube. All of them. All of them. I'm going to tell you why. So I realized that these niggas that was asking me this question was from the black neo-pagan community. Now, the Black neo-pagan community is made up of several different elements, Christianity being one of the main ones. A lot of you niggas still have one foot in the Christian church. The other question I used to get was, Pisces, which deity should I work with? Pisces, which deity should I build an altar to? Pisces, which deity should I worship? Pisces, which deity should I be in servitude to? So I realized that these same Black people that were making the transition out of the Christian church plantation, they were bringing a lot of the Judeo-Christian and monotheistic ideologies over into the pagan space. And they were doing that because they had not been exposed to certain forms of magic. You cannot practice a magic that you have no experience with or you have not been exposed to. Let me tell you something. Black people have not progressed. Black people are still on that goddamn plantation. I was watching something, and the church, the Black church, really the church period, the modern day evangelical movement has been riding off the backs of Black women. Black women, you are in trouble. You are in trouble. You are in terrible, you are in so much trouble, Black women. So much trouble. It is not even funny. I just saw a video on 4C hair. Now let me tell y'all something how trippy this shit is. The person with the most views on 4C hair is a white boy. Is a white boy who does hair. And he got almost 3 million views talking about he had this video up of this Black woman straightening 4C hair. He's getting paid off of your own hair, Black women. And when I looked at the comments, Black women was like, oh, look at him. This boy know what he talking about. Oh, he good. Uh-huh. You better get it. You better get it. I had to press that like button. You sure do know how to do some 4C hair, Black women. You're in trouble. You're in trouble when a white boy has more views on your hair texture than you do. You're in trouble, nigga bitches. You're in trouble. You're in big trouble. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm just going to leave it there because it's disheartening for me as a witch to have the knowledge that I have and to continue to see this shit with Black women. It's very disturbing to me. It's very disturbing to me. Black women are the only motherfuckers on this earth who don't hate their enemies. It's extremely disturbing to me. Extremely disturbing. And I'm going to tell you something. For the Black woman that's into love and light, I promise you this. My channel is not for you. My channel is not for you. It's not for you. Okay, let me get back to what I was saying. Y'all gonna take me there today. So, and plus I need to school you motherfuckers too. Because a lot of y'all don't know shit about shit when it comes to magic. Because if you did, we wouldn't be having this motherfucking video of this white boy talking about your motherfucking hair texture. Okay. So the other elements of Black neo-paganism, as I started to say, would be, of course, Pan-Africanism. And y'all know we can't fuck with Pan-Africanism without getting into African magic and African spirituality. And then the other elements are from the more modern day European influenced spiritual movements like New Ageism, light working, metaphysics and shit like that. But one of the elements that is devoid, that the Black neo-pagan community is devoid of, are occultic teachings. And if the niggas in the Black neo-pagan community have been exposed to occultic teachings, it's typically African magic occultic teachings, not my type of teachings. So when the niggas kept asking me that question, it wasn't, they weren't like being nasty, but they just had not been exposed to the type of teachings that I teach. That's why. So to answer the question, and I did a whole video on this years ago, but I see I have to do a refresher course. To answer your question, why I don't sound like all the other witches on YouTube, why I don't talk about the new moon, why I don't talk about the blood moon, why I don't talk about the moon cycles, why I don't talk about the elements or the roots or the herbs or the crystals and the stones and the rocks and elixirs, is because I practice a form of magic called high magic. Any witch that has any of the aforementioned in their divinatory practices would be categorized as low magic witches. So most of the witches that you're going to come across on YouTube, be it African American or otherwise, are going to be categorized as low magic witches. So what is low magic? Low magic, more popularly known as earth magic, so I'll probably be referring to it a lot as earth magic because most people know it as earth magic, originated from Africa, no secrets there. It's also called folk magic. It's also called the people's magic. We also call it peasant magic, okay? Somebody got offended when I called low magic peasant magic, but I'm going to tell you why we call it peasant magic. So earth magic is much more popular than high magic. It's more practiced than high magic, and it's actually practiced more than even Christianity, except Christianity is more socially dominant. This is a magic that is practiced all around the world, okay? And it's very accessible. So earth magic is a magic that manipulates the energies of the earth. It pulls from the earth, okay? This magic, earth magic, is centered around the natural world, aka the earth, and it is centered around the community. Outside of the community, earth magic does not stretch very far. So, earth magic and high magic are two completely different forms of magic. They are two completely different esoteric systems. Two completely different esoteric systems. All right. So, whereas the earth magic pulls the energies from the earth, high magic pulls from the ether. Okay? They're as different as night and day, serving two completely different purposes. So when we think of earth magic, we're going to think of things like pantheism. We're going to think of belief systems like animism, which is the belief that all is one, that spirits live in the animals, that spirits live in the trees, that spirits live in the rocks, that spirits live in the soil, that spirits live in watermelons, okay? We're going to think of things like I just said unification, which is again that goes with the whole all is one. You'll find a lot of that shit in the more neo-pagan religions and neo-pagan spiritual practices such as Wicca. That I have the same respect for an animal that I would for a human because everybody is one. Now, what you have to understand about earth magic is that because this is the most popular form of magic, this form of magic has several hundred thousands of different spiritual practices, religions, etc., etc. So there are going to be different variations of earth magic. Okay. We're going to think of ancestral magic. All right. So when you think of earth magic, you're going to think of spiritual practices such as voodoo. You're going to think of Yoruba. You're going to think of Santeria. You're going to think of Wicca. Okay. Now, as light and white as the Wiccans think that they are, they took from African magic. No secret there. Okay. Because before the Moors stepped foot into Europe, before the Africans or before the Europeans, excuse me, had consistent contact with the Africans, pulling from the earth's energies was not a part of the European practices. All right. So when the Africans were colonized, the first thing to go was their magic. The first thing to get captured was their magic. You cannot defeat your enemies without learning their magic first. Without learning their magic first. I have to see if I can find it, but I have some like manuscripts where the Christians went over into Africa in the 1800s and they were studying the different deities, the different gods, the different spirits. I mean, they had this shit down packed. They knew which attribute each spirit had. I mean, it was incredible, but it was sickening at the same time because that's what they were over there for. They were over there to take the magic from the African people, but this is no secret, right? So you're going to think of your shaman. You're going to think of your medicine man, your medicine woman. You're going to think of your bruja. You're going to think of your babala. You're going to think of your root worker. You're going to think of your witch doctor. All are prime examples of earth magic practitioners. Now, if you were getting into more neo-pagan titles of earth magic practitioners, you may hear things like hedge witch and kitchen witch and green witch and eclectic witch and cosmic witch and lunar witch, things like that. Okay. Again, that's more neo-pagan. So the reason why we call it the people's magic, because this magic serves the community. This is the witch that does legal work, spell work for people in the community to bust niggas out of jail. This is the motherfucker who does a love spell and a detox bath for Shaquanda so she can help, rid her yoni of whatever devils she had been fucking with in the past or whatever the fuck, right? That's your kitchen type of hedgy earth magic witch, typical for the community. Her purpose is to serve her community. That's what she does. I don't do detox baths. I don't do love spells for Shaquanda and Dewan. That's not what I do over here. I don't fucking bust niggas out of prison or jail work or any of that other kind of shit. That's not where my energies are lended to. Just in case y'all didn't know, because I know over the years y'all be asking me, can I do work for you? And the answer is no, because I don't fuck with the community like that. Now, I used to take on people. Back in the day, I was helping a lot of people, but that's just, I don't like to have clients. That's not my thing. It's not my mission. Now, I'll teach a class all day long, but as far as having clients, that's not what I do. All right. So to answer y'all questions, I don't take clients. You can ask me some questions, but I don't take clients. Okay. So, and that includes celebrities too, because celebrities have hit me up over the years. I don't fuck with celebrities either. So this is a magic that is centered around the community. It is like FUBU, for us, by us. Now, the reason why we call it peasant magic, because this was the preferred magic of poor people because of its accessibility. Earth magic is very accessible. It's open to all. Anybody who wants to practice it can practice it. We got white people who practice voodoo, for goodness sakes. So it's open to all because, again, we have that sort of that recurring theme of unification, right? The earth is open to everybody. Everybody lives on the earth. And so it is a magic that is very accessible, which is very different from high magic, what I'm going to get into in just a moment. So it is the preferred magic of the poor people. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. Now, this is not to say that earth magic practitioners are poor, okay? But let me explain to you what I mean by the accessibility of poor people. There was a video I was watching about witches in the medieval times. And at this time, they used to use beef tallow in their spell work. Now, beef tallow costed like $20, which was like an exorbitant amount of money at that time. So if you did not have the resources to get beef tallow, guess who's not using beef tallow in their spell work? Exactly. You have to use what is available to you. So the reason why we see the rocks and the stones and the herbs and the roots and the oils, there's tribes in Africa, they use seashells to, and I think this happens in Santeria too, but they use seashells to forecast the future. The reason why we see those things in earth magic divinatory practices is because that is what is available to them in their environment. All right? So if you have access to certain herbs and roots, and that is in your environment, that's what you're going to use in your magic. Okay? And this is the reason why Black people prefer earth magic, not just because it originated from Africa, that's a big part of it too, but they prefer earth magic because it's accessible to them, whereas high magic is not as accessible to the niggas. And that's on purpose. All right. And it's really not accessible to the sheeple, though, to be completely honest. All around the board, Black, white, Asian, otherwise, high magic was not a very accessible magic, and it still isn't. I'm the only motherfucker who really teaches high magic. There's some few ones on here that talk about it. I think there's a couple of white ones that talk about high magic and shit like that. But I'm really one of the only ones that actually teach magic here on YouTube. High magic, elitist high magic, because there's different variations of high magic as well. Okay, so that's why we call it peasant magic, because this is what poor people practiced, because it was accessible. You didn't need to have any really real resources. You just had to go in your backyard. Um, so now let's get to high magic, okay? Which is what I practice. So when you think of high magic, you're going to think of the mental. You're going to think of the mind. You're going to think of strategic sorcery. You're going to think of spiritual warfare. You're going to think of kingdoms taking over other kingdoms. You're going to think of agendas. Okay? High magic is the preferred magic of the Illuminati. Why? Because the Illuminati's only reason for existing is to push agendas. Okay? So, high magic, which differs greatly from earth magic, is a completely different esoteric system. It is a system that navigates the different spiritual systems, social hierarchical systems, etc., etc. Okay? So this magic was only accessible to the elite. It was only accessible to the wealthy and those that came from aristocratic families. It is from high magic that we get mystery schools. It is from high magic that we get these secret societies. Because what high magic really, what it was used for was to breed and groom this group of thinkers that they would go on and take high positions in society, like politics and government and finance and business and medicine. Okay. So not only did you have to come from wealth and elitism in order to have exposure and access to this magic, but you also had to have a certain level of intellect. High magic is not for stupid motherfuckers. Okay. Now there's certain elements in high magic that's used, like math and science, which is what you will find also in earth magic. When I think of earth magic and I think of math and science, I automatically think of the Kemetic magic and the Egyptians. They were the original. I mean, they practiced earth magic like nobody's business. And when I hear people talk about Kemetic magic, which is a form of, a type of earth magic, okay, I'm like, what type of, what are you talking about? Be specific, because there was thousands of different types of Kemetic magic. One of them being something that the Egyptians practiced called Atonism. The Egyptians practiced Atonism, which was named after the god Aten, for thousands of years. So when I see niggas talk about Kemetic magic, well, which type are you talking about? Are you talking about Atonism? What are you talking about? Be specific, niggas. I need y'all to be specific. Got to be specific, okay? So from high magic, we get this thing called the occult, which is what I teach, all right? And in this case, the occult, which we all know the word means hidden, but in this case, the occult means hidden knowledge, okay? Meaning that it's not accessible to everybody else for a reason, because we are being taught how to think, taught how to strategize, taught how to outthink our opponent. This is not shit that we just share with the whole world, all right? So essentially, what high magic does is it teaches you how to think. This is a magic that is deeply rooted in spiritual warfare, okay? It is much more rigid than earth magic is, and it's much more complex than earth magic is. All right. Now let's talk about the differences between the major differences. There's a lot of them, but let's talk about the major differences between earth magic and high magic. Number one, we have a degree system. Now I did a whole video on the 33 degrees of magic. Okay. We have a degree system. What is this degree system about? Well, the more degrees a witch has, the more power he or she is going to have. And the more power you have, the more access to knowledge you have. And the more access to knowledge you have, the more power that you get. Because why? Because knowledge is power. Okay. But not only do you get power as a witch, you also get something called immunity. You also get favor and protection. The ones who have the most degrees, the ones who have the most knowledge, get the most favor and the most protection. The ones with the least degrees get the least favor and the least protection because you're least wanted. Okay? Now, although you don't find this degree system in Earth Magic, what a lot of Earth Magic practitioners are not aware of, whether they believe in it or not, whether they are conscious of it or not, they have been assigned a degree according to their level of knowledge. Whether they know it, are conscious of it, or care about it, or don't believe in it, every witch walking this planet has a degree that has been assigned to them according to their skill level and according to their knowledge. So, in high magic, we have these three different levels of magic. Number one is your basic level earthy witch. We call them crafty witches. That's what we call them. And the crafty witch has between 1 and 3 degrees. Then we get into sorcery, which is a part of high magic. A sorcerer has to start at least 200 degrees. And then, of course, we get into wizardry, which I did a whole video on that. I'm not going to get into that right now because that's going to eat up too much of my video. So we got these 3 different levels of magic. Okay. Now, for goddess Shaquanda doing kitchen magic and shit and making elixirs and potions and oils for other motherfuckers in the community, the bitch only needs 1 to 3 degrees because her purpose is to serve her community and do love spells and shit. You see what I'm saying? Whereas a high magic witch who's pushing a motherfucking agenda, be it political or otherwise, be it corporate, meaning that it involves many people, or be it individual, or which means that it's for his or her own purpose, what we call solitary witchcraft, right? Doesn't matter. You need more degrees. A sorcerer is going to need more degrees than a motherfucking basic crafty witch doing detox baths and shit, because the motherfuckers have to manipulate both the earth's energies as well as the ether to bring about supernatural shit. Right? Let me explain it to you this way. So you got a $2 hoe and you got a 15, 20, 30,000 plus dollar a night courtesan, right? Both bitches doing the same motherfucking things. The high magic witch and the low magic witch, or the earth magic witch, doing divination. Both doing divination, both practicing magic, right? But the $2 hoe and the courtesan, what makes the courtesan get 15, 20 plus thousand a night or an encounter is because although they're doing the same fucking thing, taking it up the ass, sucking dick, fucking whatever the case may be, both are manifesting 2 different completely types of energy. Okay? So the courtesan has to be groomed. She has to have a certain scope of knowledge to turn a trick for $20,000. You understand? The $2 hoe, she doesn't have to have that scope of knowledge, even though structurally both of their pussies the same way. The courtesan's pussy don't go left and right, it go up and down just like the $2 hoe. But the courtesan, see, that's where I talk when I talk on sex magic. I talk to y'all about this shit. It ain't about dick and pussy. It's about manifesting a certain energy. The courtesan has to fuck her trick's ego. That's what he's paying her for, is to fuck his ego. Whereas a $2 hoe, she's just getting somebody off. So the courtesan has to have a broader, wider scope of knowledge than some bitch taking it up the ass in the alleyway. Do you understand what I'm saying? So the low magic or earth magic witch, goddess, whomever, moon, mother, whatever the fuck, doing elixirs in her motherfucking kitchen for random motherfuckers, she don't need to have 200 degrees. Making voodoo dolls, the bitch don't need to have 200 motherfucking degrees. She's on a completely different system. A courtesan is on a completely different system than a $2 hoe, but they both doing the same motherfucking thing, right? There you go. So when you think of high magic, you're going to think of draconian magic, you're going to think of Enochian magic, you're going to think of chaos magic, you're going to think of the thelema, you're going to think of hermetics, okay? Now, here's where it starts to get interesting, and people start to say, well, Pisces, you practice white people's magic. Here's the deal. First of all, I can't practice white people's magic because I'm not white. The rules of the game for the white man is completely different from me as a black woman. I can't think like him because the rules don't apply to me. So if I'm sitting down and I'm playing Monopoly with white men and every time they pass go, they get $200. Or when they starting out, they get $200 and I don't get shit, I lose by default. So if I try to think like the white man, I'm going to lose because I don't have the same motherfucking covering within the confines of the European system that he does. But in order for me to navigate the systems, the European systems, I understand how he thinks. I have to understand how he thinks if I'm going to outsmart his systems, but I can't think like him. I have to strategize differently. See what I'm saying? So, y'all can lay that shit to rest. The fact that I practice high magic and that it's a white people's magic could be furthest from the truth. All right? So, here's the thing. Let's talk about the ranking systems before I go back to that. Let's talk about the ranking system. So I talked to you guys about the degree systems, okay? And that's another thing. When I hear niggas talking about the Illuminati, all they talk about are the Freemasons. And this is how much I know that niggas don't know about the Illuminati. The Freemasons are the lowest of all of the Illuminati groups that there is in existence because they only go up to 33 degrees. When you think of esoteric Freemasonry, which is a different type of Freemasonry, they go up to 360 degrees. That's a whole hell of a lot of more degrees than 33 degrees. And 360 is symbolic of coming full circle in knowledge. So when I hear niggas talking about the Freemasons this, the Freemasons that, in the high magic occult world, they're at the bottom. Because in order to get 33 degrees, one would have to become in Freemasonry a grand wizard or a master mason, and you only get attributed 33 degrees. That ain't shit. And so, when I hear niggas talk about the Freemasons, I'm like, what about the Rosicrucians? What about the Skull and Bones? What about the Mothers of Darkness? What about the Brotherhood of Light? What about the Sisterhood of Light? What about the Pelican Knights? What about the Council of 300? What about the Agency? What about the other more powerful Illuminati groups? But see, niggas don't know a lot because niggas haven't been exposed to high magic and high occult teachings and elitist magic teachings. Because just like there's variations of high magic, there's also, of low magic, there's also variations of high magic. I practice the elitist form. So I don't practice hermetics. I don't do anything with the thelema. I don't do anything of that, although I can teach it because I have knowledge of it, but I don't practice that. I don't practice Aleister Crowley or Peter J. Carroll or Austin Osman Spare, but I can teach on that shit all day because I have knowledge of it. Just because I practice high magic, you would have to have knowledge of, you have to. So an earth magic practitioner does not have to have knowledge of high magic, but a high magic practitioner has to have knowledge of earth magic, a good working foundational knowledge of earth magic in order to be a good high magic practitioner. Okay? So an earth magic practitioner does not need to know anything about high magic, but a high magic practitioner has to know about earth magic, has to have a good foundational knowledge of earth magic. If I wanted to change my channel and just teach on spell work and rituals and conjuring, I could. Okay? So some people have called high magic witches mental witches. That's another word. That's another neo-pagan term for witches. And that's true. And basically what a mental witch is someone who does everything in their head, so they don't have to have an external altar. They don't have to make elixirs. They don't have to make potions and stuff. Everything is inside the head. But I don't think that's a correct term because a mental witch and a high magic witch or an elitist high magic witch, even though we do a lot of mental witchcraft, a high magic witch or an elitist high magic witch, we examine logic. And logic is left to right, up, down, cause and effect, and we pit logic against magic, okay? A mental witch doesn't do that. A mental witch is not examining logic like an elitist magic witch is, or an elitist high magic witch is, okay? So people can point to me and say that I'm a that I'm a mental witch, but that's not completely true because what high magic is also known as is ceremonial magic. We do our spell work. We have altars. We do shit like that too. We do our spell work towards the east. We turn towards the east. We do all that kind of shit too. So that's not, I did a years ago. I was having a battle with somebody, and this person was just doing some crazy shit, and the story is crazy. I never met this person before, but it's some backstory. But she was like talking shit about me, and it's a long story, you guys. But anyways, I had the pentagram I put it on my living room floor, and I walked counterclockwise against it because I was trying to undo some shit, and this person ended up getting brutally murdered, which was my end goal. I mean, it was my goal. Like, I put it, I was fucking with the saints and Saint magic, you guys. If you get into Saint magic, those are some brutal motherfucking demonic spirits. If you're trying to put a curse of death on somebody and the saints like you, yeah. So, anyways, it's a whole nother thing. But I love Saint magic. But anyways, that's Saint magic is a high magic as well. Type. We talk about forms, it's low and high, but then we talk about the types, which fall under the umbrella of forms. It's a type of high magic, I should say that. Now let's get into the other differences between high magic and earth magic. Okay. So the other differences is that the spirits that we work with typically are different, although they can cross between the two forms of magic or the two types of diviners. So in earth magic, you're going to hear a lot of their spirits being titled as gods, goddesses, and deities. In high magic, you're going to hear the titles of principalities, powers, rulers, thrones. Okay. So we have this ranking system that you don't also find in earth magic. There's no need for it. There's no need for a degree system in earth magic. There's no need for a ranking system because, again, in high magic, we're strategizing. We're using strategic sorcery. It's typically about outthinking your opponent, right? So there's no reason to do all that. There's no reason to have a ranking system. But we have two fashions of ranking systems that we use on our spirits. And one of those styles so we have these two different styles. One of them is military style and the other one is royal style. Okay. So military style, you may have heard of demons being called generals. You may have heard of demons being called lieutenants, legions of demons. And then the other fashion is the royal ranking fashion where we call our demons lords, bishops, archdukes, marquises. What else do we call them? Sometimes we'll call them kings, like king demons. There's some other ones too that I can't think of off the top of my head. So we have this royal ranking fashion. And basically what the ranking system is we're just ranking them by their power, by their attributes, by their characteristics, by their skills. Okay. So people always say, well, if I get into magic, will all of my problems go away? And the answer to that question is, first of all, you don't have any problems, but you've been conditioned to believe that you have problems. What you actually have are challenges within the system. So basically, people always say, well, Pisces, what about disabled people? Well, number one, what about them? And number two, when we talk about disabled people, we're talking about a challenge of somebody who is existing in an able body system. So there's nothing wrong with the disabled person. There's something wrong with the able body system. You see what I'm saying? So when we talk about people who have disabilities and people being born with disabilities, people who are being born with disabilities are existing in an able body system, so that puts them at a disadvantage. Now, if that person were to miraculously become healed, or if the system changes to favor the disabled person, then things would be different. Then they would become abled. Do you understand? That's the magic of magic that I love so much. So in high magic, we are trained to think that way. You see what I'm saying? Which, of course, I did that whole video on fundamentals of magic. So The thing of it is you don't have to have an answer to all of your quote unquote problems. We're not trying to be problem solvers because the universe's job is to fill voids. So every time you solve a problem, the universe is going to give you 10 more. We don't want that. Okay, but what we want to do is strategize. And strategize is a cute little word for cheating, is what it is. You have to cheat the systems. All right. So let me give you some example. I'm gonna give you an example that just sticks out in my mind of how I use high magic. Of course, I've used it millions, billions, trillions of times in my life. But I was taking somebody to court years ago, and I was in an emergency situation, and I needed a court date as soon as possible. When I got there was a man there, and I was, telling him about my situation, that it was an emergency. And anybody who's been to court knows that you typically get a court date, and the court date may be a month away, 3 months away, 12 months away, whatever the case, whatever your case is. But the man, my spirit just blessed me. I didn't have a lawyer or anything like that. He was helping me fill out the paperwork, and he was like, you can get something called an ex parte hearing. I ain't never heard of nothing called an ex parte hearing. If you don't know what an ex parte hearing is, an ex parte is an expedited hearing so that you don't have to wait for months and months and months to stand in front of the judge to go to a hearing. You can see the judge that day. That's almost unheard of. He's like, it's very, very rare, but I'm going to try to help you get it. So I ended up getting the ex parte hearing. I was sent with my paperwork to the judge's chambers or outside of the office of the judge, who I had assumed was a man. And the man said, if I were you, I would write, when you submit your paperwork, write a letter to the judge. So when I got to the judge's chambers, I was sitting outside and her door was cracked. That's how I first knew that it was a judge. I mean, it was a female. Um, and I saw her. She never turned around. I never saw her face. Her assistant came out, asked me, what's going on. I was like, I'm just, finishing my paperwork. She says, okay, when you're finished, wave me down and I will give it to the judge. The judge, I remember she had on these nice high heels, this nice skirt, and this nice blazer. She never turned around. I don't know if he knew that her door was open or not, but I could see her. So I went to write my letter because I was trying to appeal my case to her. I went to write my letter to her, and I remember the spirit said, do not write the letter to the judge. If you write a letter to the judge, you're going to be just one of thousands of people that she sees every week, and your case is going to you're not going to get granted what you need granted today. So the spirit told me write to the feminist in her. We're in the San Francisco Bay Area, and she's a judge, so she's most likely a feminist. Okay, because if I would have wrote to the judge, when she puts on that black robe, she now is under the energy of patriarchy. Okay, and I'm a woman. I'm in a desperate situation at that point. So the spirit said, write to the feminist in her. If you appeal to the feminist in her, she'll grant you your case. Okay. So I wrote the letter, and it was like, I was writing and appealing to the feminist. I wanted for her to see me as a woman in trouble. That's what I wanted. How I wrote the letter to her, not as just some case number 3042 writing to a judge or trying to appeal to a judge, because I'd have been just any other motherfucker at that point. And because she's a judge taking on this patriarchal energy, I would have been dismissed as a woman in need. But if I can appeal to the feminist in her, if I can appeal to, this is a woman pleading to another woman, okay, then she would grant my case, because then at that time I would have tapped into her emotions. I would have tapped into her belief systems. I would have tapped into everything that brought her to the place of becoming a judge in a masculine system. Do you understand? Are y'all with me today? Are y'all with me? See, high magic teaches you that kind of shit. Because anybody else would have just wrote to the judge. But no, I had to get on the feminist shit. I had to appeal to her feminist side, to her feminist energy, not feminine energy, feminist energy. This is political at this point. So I wrote the letter. And I remember her assistant came out and she looked at the letter first. And I remember she looked at me. She just glanced at me. And she went and she took it to the judge. The judge never turned around. She handed the judge my paperwork, and the judge asked her for a pen. Her assistant gave her a pen. I remember the judge, she took some time to read my letter, never turned around. And because her door was cracked, she gave the paperwork back to her assistant. Her assistant came out and said, okay, your case is granted. And I got my shit right then and there. I didn't even have to go in front of the judge. I didn't even have to have a hearing. I didn't even have to have an ex parte hearing. It was just like that. That's what I'm talking about. That's good magic. That's what I'm talking about right then and there, bitch. We don't have time to wait. Magic. That's what I'm talking about. So, is high magic more powerful than low magic? Absolutely not. Earth magic is an extremely powerful form of magic. It's much more popular than high magic will ever be. It's much more practiced than high magic will ever be. But remember, these are two completely different esoteric systems. Earth magic tempers the energies of the earth, and high magic tempers the energies of the ether. Okay. Now, some people practice only earth magic, other people practice only high magic, and then you have some witches that mix the two together. There's no right or wrong way to practice it as long as you remember that you're dealing with different spirits and as long as you remember that you're dealing with different esoteric systems. So, like for me, when we talk about earth magic deities, in high magic, a deity that is of God status in earth magic is just a high ranking demon to us. So something like a Papa Legba or an Oshun, for us, those are what we call lesser demons. And you're like, did Pisces just call Papa Legba and Oshun a lesser demon? Yes, I did, because Papa Legba and Oshun are lesser demons to me. They're lesser demons to me according to my ranking system that I use. They may be a god to you or a significant source of power for you, but they're a lesser demon to me because I'm on a completely different ranking and hierarchical system than a person who practices earth magic. What my hope is, and when I see, Black people not progressing and still under this plantation thinking, I'm hoping that we can get more Black people to practice high magic and to be exposed to high magic because we are in desperate need of it. Desperate need. Fuck getting out the matrix. If you can't get your ass off that plantation, you ain't going nowhere. You ain't going nowhere. I would say that out of all of the high magic practitioners, and this includes the Illuminati, Black people make up less than about 3 or 4%. We make up very little amount of the percentage of high magic, very little amount. So you guys, my time is running out. I got so much shit I gotta do today, and I'm not even like happy about it. It's just really busy time for me. So I will see y'all in the next video because I gotta go work on this next video. Not sure if I'm going to upload this with this new software on here. So yeah, I might upload it on my phone. So I might record this from my phone because I'm fucking with this new software. But yeah, y'all. So I will see y'all in the next video.